Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
And good evening to you. First tonight, mask wearing restrictions for those who've been in Victoria will be lifted from midnight. But border bans will remain in place with New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia as Public Health closely monitors developments in Queensland.
After a week at home, parents will be rejoicing tonight. From Monday, staff and students who've been in Victoria but are not in quarantine will return to the classroom.
I want to thank parents and teachers importantly over the last week. We know that attending school every day counts, and it's been obviously a difficult period.
Masks are also off the table from midnight tonight. But for now, mask wearing will remain for those who've been in South Australia since July 8, to be reviewed again on Sunday.
This requirement remains in place unless 14 days have passed since they were last in South Australia.
Staff and students who've been in that state will also not be allowed to return to school until at least Tuesday. Existing border closures will remain for now. The Premier says he's watching and waiting to see when interstate lockdowns are lifted before our gates open again.
Normally we would mirror the arrangements where a state is locked down, but usually come out of it a little bit more conservatively by 1 or 2 days afterwards.
In another blow to tourism, New Zealand has put an 8-week pause on the Trans-Tasman bubble.
It is frustrating, and we are an island, and quite separate to mainland Australia.
As for government support for struggling businesses.
Apart from the travel sector and accommodation, our economy is going gangbusters. We'll work with the accommodation sector. Obviously, they've been hardest hit.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
The death of a 44-year-old Tasmanian man has thrown the AstraZeneca vaccine rollout into further chaos, while there's claims of mixed messaging between the state government and GPs about who should receive the jab.
For doctors at the Hobart Respiratory Clinic, the COVID vaccine uptake among patients has been encouraging.
We do run 2 clinics a week at this clinic. We do have clinics across southern Tasmania, and across those clinics we've had about 5,500 patients already come through our doors.
But GPs say there has been some hesitation in the community after the death of a 44-year-old Tasmanian man following his first dose of AstraZeneca on the weekend. The advice they're giving to patients under 60 is to wait for Pfizer.
Unless there was a really good reason for them to wanting to get the AstraZeneca vaccine, they're probably better informed to wait until a Pfizer vaccine becomes available.
Public Health has denied there is any mixed messaging in the community.
A patient, for example, that is not intending to travel outside of Tasmania or doesn't have any particular elevated risk, it may be then a GP that may advise, well, you may wish to wait for the Pfizer vaccine.
In Tasmania, around 28,500 people under the age of 60 have had at least their first dose of AstraZeneca, while almost 5,000 are fully vaccinated. Health experts say if you're under 60, your age may be the main risk factor for developing blood clots after having the AstraZeneca jab, but some underlying health conditions may also have an impact. For more information, visit the TGA's website. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
Specialist police were called to an Invermay bottle shop this morning to arrest a Launceston man wanted in relation to a string of suspected incidents. The 23-year-old has been arrested over an alleged family violence incident, as well as driving and firearms offences. 2 men known to the wanted man were also taken into custody. Police investigations are continuing. And a German man accused of murdering 49-year-old Jinggai Zhang in a house in Launceston on Boxing Day last year has appeared in court. Tobias Pick's case was adjourned until the end of next month. He was remanded in custody. Tasmanian state school students will have greater access to sanitary products after 2 girls wrote to the government asking for funding. Layla Seen says she hopes the policy will remove the stigma around periods and stop girls missing out on school.
What started as a letter to the Education Minister has drastically altered access to sanitary products for girls in Tasmanian state schools. A grade 9 Exeter High School student and her friend, the voices behind the change.
It never really occurred that I could actually change it.
It's a program with one main aim:
pads and tampons are not only accessible, but ensures that there's no barriers in the school to be able to receive them.
$80,000 a year has been committed to the program, with the rollout currently underway, and it has been welcomed by students.
Definitely a step in the right direction. There's definitely a little bit of a stigma around it. I think it's definitely improved over the years, and it's still got quite a way to improve.
How the rollout will work is still being decided, whether sanitary products will be dispensed in vending machines or through a teacher, each school to determine what works best for them.
Personally, I think the vending machines would be the best option. It's less embarrassing and it can be less stressful.
The policy not only opening up conversation about menstruation, but also breaking down barriers to education. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
An independent candidate who failed in a bid to secure a spot in the Legislative Council has abandoned plans to fight the election result in court. Will Smith ran for the seat of Windermere, losing to the Liberals' Nick Duigan. He claims the process was undemocratic because of confusion caused by dual upper and lower house elections. But in a post on Facebook, he says he won't be taking the matter further because of the impact it would have on his youth work. 800 Riverside primary school students have cheered on Tasmanian athletes Jake Birtwistle and Nathaniel Atkinson as they represent Australia in Tokyo. The former faces of the school playing a pivotal role in motivating a new generation to fulfil their Olympic dreams.
Riverside Primary School cheering on its alumni at the Olympics. Jake Birtwistle and Nathaniel Atkinson, both former students of the school, representing Australia in Tokyo and inspiring young budding Olympians.
Made me motivated to watch them and just be like them.
Nathaniel doing Tasmania and Australia proud, the Olyroos winning 2-0 against powerhouse team Argentina yesterday.
The boy from Tasmania has more than played his part tonight.
Yeah. Right now, he's my inspiration. I look up to him and I want to try and do the stuff he does and be a big player.
Even though it's been more than 10 years since Jake Birtwistle and Nathaniel Atkinson left Riverside Primary School, they both left a lasting memory. Many of the students here idolise them. Layla Brewster is a talented runner and will be eligible to compete at the Olympics when Brisbane hosts the Games. Now a goal for the future.
It's a really amazing experience to know that I'm in the same school that he was and that I may be able to do the same things he has done in the future.
Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Local footy now, and with its season effectively over, Lauderdale is looking for growth in its remaining games, while the Tigers have lost another key forward in Cooper Sordy for their clash.
No, it'll be a little bit of a slow recovery, so it'll be touch and go whether we see him again this year.
I mean, winning games is still what we want to do, but if we're not, if we don't win, then it's not really the end of the world for us at the moment, as long as we're getting the growth in the areas we're looking to grow in.
And finals might be out of reach for North Hobart, but the club is blooding one of the youngest players in State League history.
Debut a 15-year-old in Nathaniel Salzberger, so we're really excited about that. He's a great talent and a really good kid.
It's the Demons' 20th debutant this season. Richie Porte has ridden his last Tour de France, the Tasmanian confirming he's bowing out of cycling's grandest race after riding in the most recent edition. He says he's ticked the box, having finished on the podium last year, and described the Tour as becoming more and more crazy as the years go by. Porte will spearhead Team Australia in the Olympics road race this weekend, alongside Rowan Dennis, Luke Durbridge and Lucas Hamilton. Tasmania's Riley Meredith was all set to make his ODI debut for the Aussies before his moment in the sun was taken away.
Postponed due to a positive COVID-19 test result for a non-playing member of the West Indies team.
Players and officials have been tested and are now isolating. The upcoming T20 tour of Bangladesh is also in doubt. The NPL goes under lights tonight as Launceston City tries to square things up after its 3-game winning streak came to an end last week. City hosts the battling Riverside, which conceded 8 goals to Devonport.
We had a few injuries, some players were a little bit sick, so we didn't have a full squad in the trainings, but we tried to we're trying always to play our game.
In the Women's Super League, Launceston United is hoping to heap misery on a rapidly improving Taroona, which has gone from letting through 32 goals in the first 6 games of the year to only 11 in the following 5.
They're a good side to play against. It's a really good challenge. And I'm hoping that challenge will bring out the best in our girls.
United is sitting 3rd on the table. Todd Hodgetts has been selected for his 3rd Paralympics. The Launceston big man, nicknamed the Hulk, won gold at London 2012. He's part of Australia's 36-strong athletics contingent heading to the Games. And that brings us to tonight's Friday Flashback, where it's now 25 years this week since the Atlanta Olympics. Tasmania sent a record 11 athletes to the 96 Games, of which 5 would score medals, while our most successful Paralympian would walk away with 5 of her own. 100 years after the first modern Olympics, the Games would make their way to Atlanta, where we met the first computer-generated mascot.
And if you're wondering what it is, its name is What Is It?
Prompting less ridicule was the performance of the Tasmanians. Daniel Sproul, on Olympic debut, formed part of the bronze medal winning hockey team.
Danny Sproul, from a famous footballing family.
Kayaker Daniel Collins also collected a medal in the K2 500.
I think we've got the bronze.
Although notes for international media were strangely absent.
The Australians, it just mentioned their names and their lane numbers. And on the Italians, it had about 7 or 8 pars. The Germans about the same.
Bronze Tasmanians became a theme. Tim O'Shannessy combined with Stuart O'Grady to medal in the 4,000 metres team pursuit, while Carla Boyd formed part of Australia's first Olympics medal in basketball, the Opals beating Ukraine in the 3rd place playoff. And in the 200 butterfly, Scott Goodman claimed Tasmania's first ever medal in the pool.
It's something that I didn't think I'd ever do, so yeah, that's pleasing.
But the state's entire haul would be equalled by Paralympian Melissa Carlton.
5 metres to go and she's going to hold out Tozzini and win the gold medal. Melissa Carlton.
2 golds, 2 silvers and a bronze.
I came here just wanting to do PBs and I thought anything else will be a bonus, and it really has been a lot of bonuses.
History would judge the Games harshly. Public transport buckled, spectators sweltered through Atlanta's summer heat, then a terrorist attack to top it all off. But for those who returned home with medals, Atlanta would be the perfect springboard to Sydney 2000. And we have a bonus flashback to finish sport, one for the East Coast. The lights were flicked on at the Triabunna footy ground for the first time 25 years ago this week. We were there as locals lined the boundary for the top of the table clash between Triabunna and Swansea. Only one problem.
There was a power failure 3 minutes from time, with the home side leading by 15 points. The 2 teams will split the points.
Ironically, it was only a month after the lights famously went out at Waverley Park, sparking riots on the ground.
Good evening. Hobart's maximum today was more than 3 degrees above average and winds the warmest for the day. However, it was shared with Bushy Park, Friendly Beaches and Campania. Plenty of sunshine up the east coast. Launceston, Burnie and Devonport all 12 degrees. Strahan, Grove and Flinders Island 14. Low Head and St Helens 13. King Island 12 today. The northwesterly airstream brought the cloud and showers to the north and west of Tasmania. As you can see there, very little cloud over the east. Extensive cloud does cover most of southeastern Australia though, as a frontal band moved across the southern coast of WA and the Bight. Tomorrow, a series of cold fronts approach the eastern states while a high moves over the north of the country. The wind's mostly northwesterly again at 20 to 30 knots and pushing up to 40 knots over the west and south, swells to 4.5 metres in western waters. Now, we told you about this last night, but it's on for tonight. A severe weather warning for abnormally high tides. That's current for western, southern and lower eastern coastlines. We have a gale warning current from southeast Cape to St Helens Point and a strong wind warning for remaining coastal waters in the Central Plateau Lakes. Here's how the weekend kicks off. A possible shower developing for Hobart, a top of 14 degrees. 80% chance of a shower for Medina, 11 the top, and 10 the high for Oatlands with a shower or 2. Launceston showers, 11 degrees, 12 for Devonport, a showery windy day. Showers or snow for Lyowini, a top of 4. Burnie a high of 12, a windy showery day there, same for Strawn but 13 the maximum, 12 for Marrawar. St Helens tomorrow a top of 13 degrees with a shower or two. Maybe an afternoon shower for Swansea, 14 and 13 the top for Orford. On Sunday partly cloudy over the east, showers though for the west, south and north, snow lowering to 400 metres. On Monday showers over the west and far south along with the Bass Strait Islands and similar conditions moving into Tuesday with fresh to strong northwesterly winds. A shower or two in Perth tomorrow, a windy showery day in Adelaide, ditto for Melbourne, partly cloudy in Sydney, 18 degrees, mostly sunny in Brisbane and perfect weather in Darwin. Clear and delivered in Hobart right now, mostly cloudy in Launceston, a few showers about the north and Devonport cloudy as well and 9 degrees. Don't worry about this weather, Kim, we're all worried about the weather in Tokyo for our athletes and of course with the big opening ceremony this evening. I have been told that the stadiums are going to be stifling hot due to the fact there will be no fans.
Oh, I love it. I got it. Thanks very much, Murph. That wasn't bad.